As you guys will agree with me, this is an incredible lineup. We have all the different minds that we need in the room in order to discuss this very exciting topic. Every single session that I've witnessed this morning has talked about AI, and there's so much going on. And what we're trying to do here at on this panel, is to dissect this a little bit more and understand what is this whole fascination about AI. You also hear about the ethical aspects of it. And then how does this help startups? So over to my amazing panelists. I think the first thing is, let's talk a bit more about yourselves. So I'll start with you, Dorothy. Tell us a bit more about yourself and your journey, briefly, with Google DeepMind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me here, and thank you, Tommie, for the wonderful questions. I have been at Google DeepMind for 7 years now, which is a very long time in tech, and every year it feels like a different company because of how quickly the technology is moving. I came to the role from the US, you can probably hear it in my accent. I grew up outside of New York City, the daughter of immigrants to the US, and so I always felt like my whole life I've been standing in multiple worlds. So as soon as you leave home, you're speaking a different language, you're eating different food, you have different customs and ways of operating. So I think we now call it like code or context switching, but I've been doing that my whole life. And I feel like I'm just finally learning how to be really authentic in who I am, day to day in my job, and it's really empowering. So at a time when AI is really transformative and we're trying to make sure that it benefits everyone, it's a really interesting time for me to figure out how do I show up every day as my authentic self, and make sure that I help steer the technology to do that.
Amazing, Dorothy. And I'm sure a lot of people in the room can resonate with that. Sometimes you're in the room and you're wondering, what am I doing here? Especially if you're like a migrant. And I definitely can resonate with that. But then you're here and you're doing fabulous things, and we're extremely proud of you. And I'll ask the same question to, Izzy couldn't have given you a better introduction, Junior. So I know you're the founder of SocialPro. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you ended up choosing SocialPro.
Sure. So I think I'll start by asking who owns a business here, or who has a side hustle, right? Pretty much everybody. Brilliant. Well, 2 years ago, I started my second business, my first tech startup. And for those of you who know tech startups, you're building this app, and if you can't code yourself, you're investing a lot of money into the code, paying external developers. So I was paying these external developers. After a year, I'd finally built the product I wanted, and then it came to launch day, but no one was there to buy it. Crickets. So I had built this thing I was so proud of, but no one was going to see it because I had no marketing budget. I couldn't pay expert agencies. I couldn't run ads. What was I going to do? Give up on this app that I had built? There was no way. So within the space of 1 year, I was able to grow my TikTok following from 0 to 30,000. That put me in the top 15% of creators, but it also showed me the struggles that a business owner goes through, or in fact, a passion owner. Someone who's passionate about something, created something, a musician, an influencer, a business, a brand, but you have no marketing budget to grow it. So then I thought, surely there's an easier way to do this whole organic growth thing. Growing on TikTok organically. Surely there's a way you can grow without the constant stress of thinking about content ideas every day, thinking about effective content ideas, videos that will actually reach your target audience. And doing that every single day is absolutely exhausting. So I built SocialPro, and that's where, let me just SocialPro, quick brief about SocialPro. It's this AI tool that removes that constant guesswork that comes with growing your target audience and reaching your audience with your brand. It analyzes trends on social media and creates all the strategies you need to grow. Everything from what you need to say, do on the videos, hashtags, posting times. It's your personal social media strategist.
Fantastic. I couldn't sell it better. And so lastly, to Elizabeth. So tell us briefly about your role and your journey towards your role at Capgemini event.
Thanks, Tommie, and it's fantastic to be here today. So I'm a director in our events practice, and my repertoire is AI strategy and running multi-million-pound AI programs for my clients. So I work with a lot of banks, a lot of global retailers and luxury retailers, and I also work with healthcare and public sector institutions. At Capgemini, I'm part of our leadership team for intelligent industry. And what we do in that practice is basically to help clients harness technologies and AI solutions from hyperscalers, but also from startups to transform their business. So a huge part of what we do is horizon scanning as well, and making sure that we're bringing the best tools and technologies to our clients. And a lot of people don't know this, but we also have a venture fund. So we're a limited partner in a number of VC funds, and we partner with startups to go to market together to solve critical industry problems and basically build repeatable patterns to solving some of the common operational challenges that our clients face. 9 months into Capgemini. Before Capgemini, I was at PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is a professional services firm. I headed up their AI and automation practice for government and health. And before PricewaterhouseCoopers, I was at Accenture, in the AI lab and doing automation for banks. So spent the last decade using AI to transform businesses.
Interesting. In building SocialPro, how has AI helped you in any way? Are you using AI within SocialPro at all? And what are the things that you're seeing that AI is doing in helping you grow SocialPro?
For sure. So with SocialPro, it is an AI company, but not because I wanted it to really just be an AI company for the sake of it. I saw that there was a problem. People were struggling with growing on social media. They didn't have the money to pay agencies, or maybe the agencies weren't providing the great results. So I thought, well, I could create a great agency and help a few people, or I could create a scalable technology and help the world and help people not limited based on my own time or my team's time. So then AI was the vehicle to help us achieve the goals that we were looking for in helping everybody. So our whole system, from asking people about their brand, to producing the strategies for them, to analyzing their videos after they post them, it's all based on AI. And we wouldn't be able to do that at scale for thousands of users if it was just based on our own time. So that's how AI has helped us, by automating that entire process of ensuring your strategies are as effective, as personalized, and as just meticulously strategized for you based on everything you've told us about your brand and how your videos are changing over time.
So how does Google DeepMind see its role in supporting the UK industries, especially startups, pretty much in this new AI era?
I think one of the most interesting things learning about how the UK ecosystem works versus the US is that you've really had to grow over the last probably decade in terms of venture funding and investment. And success breeds success, right? And so I think when we were able to attract so much talent in AI from across Europe to one place here, that created a whole ecosystem. And so it created not just people who were gonna, work at the company, but we have people who are leaving now to create their own AI companies from Google DeepMind, right? We have venture firms that are all working in AI and investing in those companies. So it's really about building that UK tech ecosystem. We also partner a lot with the government to ensure that there is adequate funding going into universities to support scholarships for people working on both master's degrees and also PhDs in machine learning. So it's about fueling that entire pipeline and ecosystem from the ground up. One of the things I'm proudest of actually is that we've created a diversity requirement around all of our scholarships, which now the government has also adopted, which is really important because I think there just aren't enough women or people of color in AI at all. And so the more that we can figure out how to bring them in and ensure that they have a chance to learn and succeed and grow, that's going to make a really big impact and create a much more interesting and meaningful set of AI companies than we've seen to date.
That's really interesting. So I like the fact that you're pretty much putting the people that you're spending this on accountable to say you have to meet certain thresholds. Are there any names of companies or things that you want to drop for the people in the audience so they could?
Well, so I'm an angel investor, and Junior and I were just talking about this, and I decided that I wanted to find historically excluded founders in AI because I know they exist, and I wanted to make sure that there was somebody from Google DeepMind who was supporting them and signal that to the market, right? A lot of this is about access. When it comes to investment and getting into the right circles of people who will support you. I've had founders say to me, it takes me forever to get to that lead investor, but once I have a term sheet, everybody else who I was talking to before suddenly falls in line and is all over my LinkedIn, right? And so how do you create that kind of market signal that this is a really worthwhile person to invest in, especially because seed and pre-seed, you're really investing in the person. The product will evolve. So I think about how we can really spot the right talent, diverse talent early on, and signal to the market that this person is going to be an amazing founder, and the barriers are mostly going to be around, can they get into the right networks that are going to get them the right funding to build a business, and how we build the right communities to support these people. So a couple of founders who are interesting. There's one in the US that I've invested in called Justice Text. It was founded by a Google DeepMind intern, coming out of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement. And what she did was she created a system that you can basically store, archive, and also search through police body camera footage. And she's selling to public defenders. So these are people who in the States are defending people who can't afford their own lawyers. And she could have sold that technology and took that in a totally different direction, right? Any criminal law firm could really use that. But she chose to go after public government contracts, and she's flying and doing amazing, and now has gotten an investment from John Legend and Reid Hoffman as well. So really cool. It's I think, Indian-American founder and an African-American founder, and it's just a really cool business to look at. Here, I've invested quite a bit in women's health and AI, actually. A lot of the areas where there aren't markets, but there is a need, and thinking through how do I work with these founders to stand those markets up. A couple of interesting founders there as well, both in the AI field and these regulated areas, so health, legal tech, transportation otherwise. There's a company my first company to make it to Series A was called Definely, and you all might know, but it's built by Namdi and his co-founder Fergus, and it's basically somebody who's visually impaired as well as a Black British founder. And what I learned from that experience was that it's all about relationships. Namdi is incredible at executing great business deals with law firms, and that is how he created the business. And I'm just so impressed with his ability to lead and also be that deal maker while also building the technology. So it's really about finding these really amazing folks who can, I think, index on a lot of their technical skills, but also their ability to work with people.
Thank you for that. In case those of you in the room don't know, Dorothy also angel invests, so you should hit her up. And over to you, Elizabeth. So how would you say that for startups in the room, how does your role help them get more operationally efficient? And I'm talking more in the areas of, AI, and I understand that for most of the clients that you deal with are more enterprise clients. So just trying to look at from that level up, but then looking at it down into the startup ecosystem, what should they be doing that helps them get more operationally stable?
I think that's a fantastic question, and I think the principles apply equally whether you are an enterprise or a startup. But I think it's even more important for every startup to be an AI native and to have AI at the core of their business and delivery model. So when I partner with my clients, typically 3 things that we look to do, right? The first one is to basically use AI to turbocharge their success in the market, and everything from designing products and services to accelerating the delivery of those products and delivering it with very sort of efficient resourcing, using AI to provide the insights that you need to understand your customer, to respond to market opportunities with agility. And I think all of that applies to anyone looking to start a business, right? So just like Junior mentioned, putting AI at the core of what you do, where you would typically use a developer to build a product, you can now use AI to do that. There are lots of pair programming tools that all you need to say to them is just a sentence, right? Just give them the right prompts and they can build a product or a tool for you. So why go through many, many months of expensive sort of waterfall type build process when you can actually get an AI-powered product delivery factory? So that's really important. I think you'd also find that companies that are powered by AI are able to deliver better customer experience and more personalized experiences for their clients, and that's going to be key to surviving. So I say to my clients, AI is not a nice to have, it's a condition for survival, because clients expect you to engage with them across different channels in a consistent way and in a way that is personalized and tailored to them, and you can only do that with AI. Secondly, let's talk about operations and everything that happens behind the scenes. That needs to be AI powered. There's no way you can sustainably run and scale an operation, increasingly in this day and age, without investing in automation and AI. So I talk to my clients a lot about having autonomous operations, and that's basically, having AI and robots doing all your marketing communications, doing all those repetitive elements that actually you don't really need people to do. You need people in the front line engaging with customers, making sure that you're responding to them and delivering the best outcomes for them. You can use AI and machines in the back end to run all your processes. And I think for startups, if you build that into your infrastructure at the start, it would help you scale fast, but also it's going to save you a lot of money because you're going to have to do it at some point. And when it comes to finance, things like finance, HR, IT, operations, right? All of this can be automated. So invest in tools that would allow you to do that. And the other important point to make is you don't have to build everything yourself. There are tools that are available, some of them from hyperscalers like Google, Microsoft, but actually some of them from products that are tailored to smaller companies that need that efficiency and automation at their back end.
Interesting. So just one answer. Are we is this the AI bubble or is it come to stay?
It's a revolution, darling, honestly.
I couldn't agree more.
I think everyone needs to get on it, otherwise you're going to be left behind. That's the reality.
Yeah, I kind of always interpret that as when the www dot was there and you're like, oh, is this a bubble? And now we have a new, revolution coming in and everyone needs to get on board. And Elizabeth is backing that as well with her statements. Okay, so now let's talk to you, Junior. And I know we want to also take some questions from the audience. So just 2 more questions and then we go over to you, the audience. So start thinking of what you want to say. So where do you see this going within the next, so this is talking about predictions. So where do you see this going in the next 5 to 10 years?
I still think AI is in its extremely early stages. Although we're talking about it in this room, if you don't take action this next month, it's over for you. It's not. A lot of businesses don't know how to implement AI into their systems and processes. They don't know about automation. They think about scaling as, I need more people on board, I need to maybe be running more ads, need more marketers, need more customer support. But someone who's thinking about automation, you're going to think about having customer service, at least initially, maybe automated. The communications, some sort of automated, so it's just a quicker process. But it's extremely early stages. So I wouldn't worry if an idea of how to implement AI doesn't come into mind straight away, because there's so much more to come. And a lot of small businesses, a lot of startups at this stage, I think you've got to worry about other things in automation, especially if you look over at YC. One of their terms is do things that don't scale, because at this stage you're trying to validate if your idea is even worth it to build, or else you're going to waste about a year building the wrong thing and potentially no one will buy it, and that's a horror in itself. So I wouldn't worry too much. But in terms of my predictions of AI, it will become part of the fundamentals of a business over the next decade. Do I think it will happen within the next 3 years? No. People are still very slow movers. And in all honesty, I think, especially here in the UK, risk aversion is much higher than it is in the US. US is known for adopting technology a lot quicker than the UK. So over here, I don't think that we have to worry too much just yet. But over the next 5 to 10 years, for sure, they're going to start teaching that in business school. How do you automate these things within your business? That's my predictions for AI, at least.
Okay, just look very quickly, same question to you, and then I have a final question for you, Dorothy.
Okay. Where's AI going? I think that increasingly what I hope to see AI do is become more of a co-pilot for people. So one of the things, my favorite app right now, for example, that I personally use is one called Duckbill. And what it does is it uses AI to triage all different kind of tasks that you want to send it. And then on the back end, actually it's a former colleague of mine at Uber who created it. It basically works with a bunch of different very high-powered executive assistants to train a model to help them execute these different tasks in a really streamlined way. So basically it's like a small subscription fee every month to help, moms take care of a lot of the things that they would normally do with like life admin in your brain, and you're just trying to tick down all your list of to-dos, and they just actually get it off your plate. I use it for a lot of things around travel because I'm traveling all the time for both work and for personal life. And so it becomes more and more of a co-pilot for me without necessarily needing to do a ton of like knowledge transfer in between. I also see it as like a tool for scientists, actually. Like if you think about the ability of a model to look at all the latest scientific research and then co-create with the scientists what their next theory is, that's incredibly powerful. So yeah.
Okay, and then let's just take a final question on ethics.
Yes.
So I know that regulations are coming in. There is also the EU regulation already. In case you don't know, there is London Tech Week happening next week, AI Summit happening, so many things happening all around. You'll be there, all right, Gina will be there. So what do we need to be wary of? And at Google DeepMind, because I know this is going to be top of mind, what exactly do you think people in this room need to start thinking about when it comes to ethics in AI?
I mean, it is a crucial part of the puzzle. I think there's a lot of questions around, from an overarching perspective, has technology been good for us? And I think it is on people at companies like DeepMind to prove that we deserve people's trust and the mandate to build this extremely transformative and powerful technology. And something we always say internally is that transformative technology deserves really exceptional care. So how do we engage communities in that development and deployment about thinking what AI should be used for and why? How do we encourage and set standards around what we're testing for to make sure it's able to perform the way we think it should? How do we look at some of the gaps in data, especially, and thinking about how do we fill those gaps and really ensure it's the applications are working in an equitable way? These are things that we're thinking about constantly, and I think it's up to industry leaders like Google DeepMind to set the standard for what that looks like as we're building the latest technologies.
All right, so we've had it. So it is, even in as much as we're adopting AI into the things that we're doing, we also need to start thinking ethically, and it's best to start doing that from day one. We're lucky that we have GDPR to govern us in terms of data, But now we're going into the world of AI. We also need to be thinking ethically in that. So now let's take questions for the audience. One question.
But in the same way that you're thinking about the ethical kind of implications of AI, is there anything or any kind of future planning regarding the energy consumption of AI and the risks that that will pose, and something that maybe businesses can be thinking about before it happens, like kind of at an earlier stage?
There are a number of companies or startups looking to build smaller models. In fact, there's one by Minstrel AI, which we partner with, on the premise of creating models that consume less energy. I also know that this is something that cloud computing companies are looking into. I think it's something that we need to solve as a collective, but there's a lot of good strides that I'm seeing, which is really exciting.
Any other answers?
I mean, I think it's also on the companies like the cloud computing providers to look at sustainable ways to run their data centers. And running them on renewable energy, and that's a project that Google has worked on for a long time. But one of the coolest applications I've seen is when we applied our algorithms to the data centers, we were able to save Google 30% of their energy costs and energy consumption, which is a really interesting project when you look at our transition from traditional methods of working on energy to renewables. How do we really streamline that? And that's going to take a lot of very complex data tooling to be able to do. So I think AI is going to play a role there as well.
Okay, so I think that's it for us today.